Hello, you beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Self-Development Podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Sutherland, and today I'm going to be talking about questioning everything. And I listened to this podcast. This is a podcast I'm a big fan of. It's called the Science and Spirituality Podcast, and they did an episode where they interviewed a neuroscientist. His name is Bernard Heisch, and he had a quote. The quote says, "Advances are made by answering questions, but discoveries are made by questioning answers." And I found this to be so powerful. And I'm already the type of person who just naturally questions things. I'm very good at seeing patterns, so I can see things and be like, maybe there's something else here. And also, I once had this conversation with my dad, and we were talking about what it would be like, what it's like being a parent. And, because when we're young and we, are mad at our parents for the way they did this and that, and, no one's perfect. And when I was just a young adult, I was probably 19, and we had this conversation, and he asked me if I was to have a child right now, or even in the next few years, would I know all the answers? And I was like, obviously no. And he said, well, exactly. Me and your mom didn't know all the answers when we had kids. We just did the best with what we had and tried to figure it out as we went. And that just really shifted my perspective in seeing everything and not holding anger towards my parents for certain choices that they made in raising us as kids. And I think they did a pretty good job. All three of us turned out pretty great. But, obviously nobody's perfect and everyone can get better. And, you got to pick what you liked about your childhood and take that into when you parent and change the things that you didn't. And it's just been like that over and over and over and over and over again. But it also, I like to use this ideology to lens to look at the entire world of how everything works and how things are going, because we are following the ideas, concepts, beliefs of all these people that came before us. Okay, the laws that are made were made because of people before us, and all these problems that we have are made because of the decisions that people made before us. And I really, really do understand the respect your elders thing. And I think that's different from, just because somebody came before us doesn't mean they did it right or did it the best way, because there really is no such thing as right and wrong, but there are so many, literally infinite different ways that we can do things. And every different way of doing something is going to have a different outcome. And right now, with everything in the world, just in general, we're not doing so good. There's a lot of things that we need to be questioning in order to change and make these discoveries so that we can make these shifts in not only our own lives, but literally in the entire world. So I became obsessed with this quote, and it's so true. We need to question everything, because if anything, there is a lot of corruption, unfortunately, in our world. And I'm assuming if you're listening to this podcast, you are a person with a good heart and a good soul, and I don't think you're doing these things making bad decisions. And I understand. I feel like sometimes we forget that people can actually act and behave in this way. And I really struggled with this even now still. Sometimes I have to remind myself, because I just assumed that everybody was like me. And if you're a good person, this can end up kind of screwing you over sometimes, because it's almost like wearing rose-colored glasses. You're like, I would never hurt somebody intentionally. I would never, I could never get paid off to do something that's terrible. I could never lie about information that's potentially going to harm a lot of people. And, so you think like, oh, okay. But that doesn't mean that there isn't people out there that do that. In fact, there are a lot. And it's actually really sad because most people, I'm not going to say, I don't know a number of people, but there are definitely people out there that make decisions based off wanting to get more money or power or fame or whatever it is that they are trying to get. And they will do not so good things to get that, unfortunately. So this is why we need to question everything, because there are people that are worth a lot of money and they will do nasty things. And I also just listened to a podcast that was talking about big food and big pharma companies and how they're all owned by the same people and they're purposely feeding us food that's killing us so that they make money off us when we're sick and all these things, which I knew before. But it's nice to know that there are actually scientists and people involved in that world that are bringing that information to light to the public. And it's just so good that this information is being talked about, because this needs to be heard, because this is a big problem in our world. When you think about it, even like nutritional guideline is like funded by these companies. So this was a really big thing in Canada. They changed the food guidelines. It used to say like, I don't know what it was, like 3 to 5 servings of dairy every day was recommended in the daily food intake guide. And it was funded by Canadian dairy farmers. Convenient. And then all of a sudden, the Canadian dairy farmers quit funding them. And now guess what? I don't even think dairy's on it. Or it's way less than it was. So, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't eat or drink dairy, because I don't even think that is the part of it. It's just the fact that they were funding it, and it was recommended that people should eat their products every single day, 3 to 5 servings of these products every single day. And then they stopped funding them and they changed what it is we're supposed to do. And this is actually so common. And there's just so much information. And not that there isn't scientists out there that are good and have good morals and only actually give us the factual truth, but there are a lot of people that will pay a lot of money for people to say what they want them to say. And there's a lot of people that read not far enough into research to see if it is actually true or not. And it's really sad, but it actually does happen. So keep that in mind. And this is why I think it's so important that we learn to develop our intuition and to have this sense within ourselves of judging if we actually think that something is true or not. And yes, you can go find the peer-reviewed article or whatever if you are into doing scientific research. But again, at the end of the day, who knows? There's so much information out there that is skewed based off somebody's opinion or somebody's paycheck. And it's really sad because we get to this point where we have so much information out there, it can be overwhelming. If you're trying to have a healthy lifestyle, where do you even start? Because this guy over here says something totally different than this guy over here, and they're both these health experts, and it can be so much and you can feel lost of okay, well, this person says I should eat whole grains, this person says I should eat no grains, this person says white bread and whole grains are the same. It can be insane. This is why we need to question everything, and also why we need to use our intuition, because personally I have had so many experiences in my life where I have just read something or heard something, listening to a podcast, and I hear somebody say something and I will get full body chills instantly. Yes, 100% that's true. You could not convince me otherwise. I know in my soul that is the truth. Or sometimes you hear this information and you're like, I don't know, the math is not mathing, something's not right, I don't know if this is what they say it is. So this is why intuition is such a powerful tool. And I think that this is why we need to be questioning everything, because we are in a time of change, and we need to be in a time where things are changing. Things need to change desperately, because we're going to be coming up with a lot more severe issues in all sorts of ways if we don't do something different. So, my advice to you, question everything, okay? Question what is in the foods that you eat. What is actually in there? What does all these things mean? We read a label to food, and we don't know, we can't even pronounce half the names. How do we know what that is? How do we know what it does to our bodies? Okay, again, if you don't have the app called Yuka, Y-U-K-A, the picture is a little carrot. You can scan the barcodes of things, and it rates it out of 1 out of 100, and it lets you know what's in it. And it tells you also what all the things in it actually are, and also what they do to your body. So it'll be like harmful or hazardous additive, and it'll be like causes cancer. Sweet, probably shouldn't eat that. Okay, so question everything that's in your food. Question the information that you are seeing. What you are consuming is so important. Not just physically consuming, eating, but mentally consuming. What are you watching? Are you watching the news? Stop watching the news. I'm actually so grateful because my mom hates the news, so never watched it as a kid growing up. It was never something I did. I don't know if I've ever really watched it in my whole life. It's so bad. It is so bad for you. And it is just a bunch of bullshit. And also just stresses you out about things that you have no control over, and it's just like taking your energy and just like sending it to all these things. And half of them are just so traumatized to make it more interesting so that you want to watch it. And it's terrible. And I don't know if you've ever seen that video where it's like, it starts out with one news anchor, and then it goes to like 4, and then 8, and then it keeps going and going and going, and they're all saying the same thing. Yeah, it is so scripted. And so they don't get to talk about what they want to talk about. They're reading what they're saying off of a screen. So if you watch the news, don't. And also this goes with, I mean, we're not necessarily a generation of people who are sitting down and watching the news every day when we get home from work, like older generations. But we are getting news on our phones all the time, and not even just like the news app, like following Instagram accounts of news, what's happening. A big one also, I like unfollow any celebrity, like Hollywood celebrity. I'll follow people that are maybe like famous on Instagram or social media that are like influencers, kind of. Like, I personally don't like to follow like beauty influencers and stuff, but like workout, health, spirituality, that kind of thing. As long as they're sharing good and like good information and content. But if there's people that are just like making you feel shit about yourself, probably don't follow them. But B, if they're just like if it's always so much drama, like we as humans can get addicted to drama because I don't even know, if that's just what you're used to, and you've always had drama, and you always are in drama, and you're attracting more drama, and it can kind of be addicting because it gives you a rush of adrenaline when you're like in all this drama, and then people can seek it out, even if it's at a subconscious level and you don't actually want drama, but you're seeking it out because you actually thrive off of the energy that it gives you, which is actually a very negative energy. But if that's all you know, that's all you know. So here's another thing. Question: who are you spending time around? Okay, what kind of people are you giving your energy to? And are they giving you energy back? Are they stealing your energy? There are such people as energy vampires who literally suck your energy. They will just keep sucking your energy, And when you hang out with them, after you hang out with them, you feel very depleted, you feel very drained, you feel very blah. That's a sign of an energy vampire. You should want to spend time with people that make you feel excited and uplifted and are supportive of you and your goals and your dreams and your ambitions. That's what we want more of. So question who you're spending time with, because it's okay to outgrow people in your life. I will say this until I'm blue in the face, okay? If you're not healing and you're just cutting people off, you're going to end up attracting more people back into your life that are at the same frequency. But as you're on this healing, spiritual journey, you're going to outgrow people. And you're going to grow into different phases of your life. And you're going to attract new friends that are at these new phases of your life. And that's like the beautiful part of it. And it's lovely. And trust me, let go of your shitty friends, okay? You are better off without them. And the grass is greener on the other side. Another thing that we need to question is just the way that we do things. My biggest one is, for example, the education system. Okay, these people before us have made this education system, and yes, it continuously evolves. I know it's continuously getting kind of changed and altered, but I think it needs to be like completely kiboshed and redone from the beginning. I personally, unless things change severely, will not send my kids to school. I will be homeschooling my children because they don't teach things in school that we need to learn, okay? They don't teach you how to do your taxes, okay? That's the craziest thing to me. Why is nobody questioning that? That seems insane. That seems like they're purposely setting us up for failure, which I'm just saying. Okay. Also, why are we not learning about how to grow our own food, gardening, what all these different plants do, herbs, plants are medicine, okay? You think that something, God, universe, whatever you believe in, it's all the same thing, whatever you want to call it, put us here on this planet with literally all these kinds of plants and animals, and to have to make our medicine in a lab, to have to put toxic chemicals together to make us better? You think that there's not some sort of plant out there naturally that we can take for pretty much most of these problems that would help solve the problems? I don't know, Matt. Like, this world there's too many different types of plants, animals, bugs. I don't care what it is. If it was like you have to eat ground up, dried up beetles in a capsule and it solved whatever problem you had, you can't tell me you wouldn't do it. You're not tasting it. You can put anything in a capsule, you don't taste it. Okay, the stuff that you, like, if you've ever accidentally bitten into, like, an Advil or something, they taste disgusting. But we pop those like they're going out of style. Like, oh, I have a little bit of a headache. Advil, Tylenol, who knows what's in that? Not good. It's not good. So we need to question the way that we're doing things. What are we teaching this next generation of kids? What are we going to teach our kids? What are values that we want to teach because they're going to rule the world one day, just like our generation is going to be in charge, hopefully sooner than later, and make some serious changes. Because yes, people came before us, and yes, I'm sure the elders know a lot more than me. I know I have an old soul. I know I'm very wise for my age, but like in this life, I only have 25 years of experience. So, I'm sure in life experience, the elderly probably know. But also, they just know what they were taught. And then through what they've learned through their own experiences. It's not like you become 75 years old and you're just instantly given all the answers to the universe. And yes, we need to respect your elders. Hold the door open for them. Honor your ancestors because they did this before. But that doesn't mean we don't question the way things are done and try new ways, try new things, because this is the only way that we're going to make changes, okay? So question everything. Question the way we're doing things. Question the way our work world is. Do we need to work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, 50 weeks a year? Do we need to do that? Could we work 4 days a week and work 5-hour days? I think it's no coincidence that we work when, like, the prime hours of the day that the sun is out. Because being out in the sun, putting your feet in the grass, getting that energy from the earth is so beneficial and gives us so many benefits mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So I just always question if that was on purpose. And I get it. But, like, imagine we work from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's 3 hours. And then we have 10 a.m. all day. And then, again, we work 5 to 7 for another 2 hours. Also, like, our attention span is not longer than a certain amount of time. So working 9 to 5, like, are we really even getting that much done? I find for myself, like, I can only do so much before my brain is like, okay, I need to do something else for a minute, or I'm not going to work anymore. So I don't know, I'm just saying, like, question it. Does it need to be that way? Okay, does things have to work the way that they're working right now? The answer is no. And I'm not saying that, you know, maybe there is just one way that works. There's probably multiple ways that work. There's just a lot of ways I know that work better than what we got going on now. So question everything. The next big one, really, question medicine. Okay, I struggle with Western medicine. And I think it's important because it can help us in ways to fix problems fast, as if, like, I'm going to die right now, okay? They can, you know, stitch you up. They can do all these things. There's life-saving surgeries. Yes, I understand that. But when it comes to, like, long-term health effects, it's terrible. It is honestly so terrible. And it is honestly pretty corrupt. And I don't think it's as bad here in Canada as it is technically in the States, because in the States you have to pay for healthcare, which in Canada they say healthcare is free, but, like, really it I don't want to compare this because I can't imagine, like, breaking my arm and having to pay, like, thousands of dollars. But anytime, like, we have to pay for prescriptions, eyes, dentist, there's so many things. Like, I believe, like, specialists and stuff too, but I've personally never had to go to a specialist. So, but I know that I do have listeners in the States as well. So question the medicine, because there's a lot of issues that are happening because of all these shitty foods that we eat, that are being fed to us. And then we go to the doctor with this problem and they're like, here, take this pill that actually doesn't fix the problem, and you have to you're giving these same people more money. You're paying them to eat the shitty food, and then you're paying them to take this shitty medicine, and then you just still feel shitty. So question everything, okay? Because I feel like if everybody just stopped and was like, why? What? When? Where? What is going on? Show me why. That we could maybe, like, put our foot down more and really help make some actual change. So sorry if I sounded a little bit like a crazy person, but I am. But you're still here listening to this, and you've been here for 7 months now, so I must not be too crazy. But unfortunately, I still have not got my intro or outro back because I had a busy week and did not have time to figure it out. So wish me luck. And hopefully next week you will have your intro and outro, or maybe a new intro and outro. But I really like my old song, so I really hope I can find it again. Anyway, I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I hope that you get out in the sunshine and get some vitamin D, go put your feet on the grass, and start thinking, questioning, and this is really going to help you make shifts in your life. Okay, I love you all so much, and I will see you next time. Bye!